High in the Sonoran Desert sits a city cut clean in half. Locals call both sides Nogales, two towns with one name but opposite fates. The same sun burns their rooftops, the same families share blood across the fence. Yet life on each side could not be more different. North of the border, Nogales, Arizona, hums with paved roads, stable jobs and schools that actually open on time. Just a few meters south, Nogales Sonora fights a daily battle. Shuttered factories, crowded hospitals, neighborhoods living behind bars and padlocks. How can two halves of one community breathe the same desert air, yet stand worlds apart? The difference isn't luck. It isn't the climate. It's the weight of history. 5 centuries of decisions that built two very different systems on the same soil. To see how that line in the sand became a divide between fortune and survival, we have to travel back to the moment the two worlds were born. When explorers first crossed the Atlantic, they weren't chasing ideals. They were chasing treasure. In the 1500s, Spain conquered the richest civilizations on the continent, mighty empires with palaces, roads, and stone cities. The Spaniards seized it all in the name of God and king, replacing native emperors with their own. The structure stayed the same: nobles on top, laborers beneath, order enforced by sword and cross. The conquest brought instant riches. Gold poured into Sevilla's docks. Silver filled Spain's treasury so fast it warped European prices. But every peso earned came from forced labor, disease, and rebellion. Across the Atlantic, England arrived later and landed on tougher ground. North America offered no Aztec gold or Inca silver. It was swamps, winters, and forest. Colonies like Jamestown nearly collapsed, copying Spain's command economy. Desperation forced a new idea: motivate rather than compel. Survival meant giving ordinary settlers something worth fighting for: land, representation, and a shot at profit. With that promise, autonomy took root. From necessity came a new creed: work hard, keep what's yours, and rule yourself. 2 hemispheres, 2 blueprints. One anchored in obedience, the other in incentive. That single contrast would echo down centuries. Spain's empire evolved into an instrument of extraction. Through encomienda grants, conquistadors protected villages by enslaving them. In the Andes, the meter conscription locked generations of men into Potosi's mines, a single mountain that fueled Europe's golden age while consuming countless lives underground. The riches were staggering. For 200 years, Potosi alone produced more than half the world's silver. Madrid's cathedrals gleamed, royal courts overflowed. Yet the land that provided that fortune grew poorer by the day. When colonial power faded, its habits didn't. Society still revolved around submission. Institutions were designed to obey hierarchy, not reward talent. Inequality became cultural muscle memory, handed down like religion. Meanwhile, the North was stumbling toward a different experiment: freedom as its organizing principle, capitalism as its byproduct. Risk was rewarded, innovation was celebrated, and the gap, both economic and mental, began to widen irreversibly. The English came expecting gold threads and found starvation instead. The failure taught them a brutal truth: people work hardest not under fear, but belief. Give them ownership, and they'll move mountains. Land ownership transformed survival into motivation. Local assemblies, allowed for convenience by distant kings, trained ordinary colonists in the art of self-governance. Rule of law became personal. If the law could protect your farm, it could protect your future. Knowledge spread quickly. With it came innovation. Tools turned into machines, small workshops into early industries. The colonies created wealth from ideas, not minerals. A society built around participation discovered something empires never understood: that prosperity multiplies when power is shared. By contrast, Latin America's upcoming revolts would confuse independence with inheritance. Instead of dismantling hierarchy, they would repaint it. Revolutions erupted from palaces, not plazas. After Napoleon conquered Spain, colonial elites feared new liberal reforms from Europe. They declared independence first, to preserve what they already owned. Across Latin America, kings were replaced by caudillos. Constitutions promised equality, yet massive estates stayed untouched. Mexico alone cycled through more than 50 presidents in 50 years. Every reformer became a tyrant. Every tyrant a reformer in waiting. Across the border, the United States fought over ideals but kept strengthening democratic habits. Elections, courts, banking, public education. Latin American freedoms arrived by decree instead of demand. Power rotated among the same surnames while citizens waited outside the palace gates. Two versions of liberty emerged. In one, accountability checked ambition. In the other, ambition devoured accountability. By the 1800s, the wars of liberation were won, but their victories were hollow. New maps, same masters. A dozen families might control half a country's wealth. Bonded labor replaced slavery in name, not reality. Courts and banks served connections, not competence. To innovate was to invite confiscation. To challenge power was to disappear. The safest business plan was obedience. Year after year, distrust thickened. People hoarded savings under mattresses, avoided formal banks, hesitated to start businesses that success might expose, economies filled with talent that dared not surface. Meanwhile, the Industrial Revolution roared abroad. Britain built engines, America laid railways, Latin America shipped raw goods, silver, coffee, sugar, feeding the progress of others while standing still. The system worked perfectly for those it was built to serve. Control replaced growth, fear replaced creativity. A continent rich in resources remained poor because it never learned to trust itself. Spain never had an enlightenment. Its colonies inherited that absence of curiosity. Printing presses required royal licenses. Universities rehearsed dogma, not discovery. Thought itself became dangerous. While Yankee inventors tinkered in barns, South American scholars smuggled banned books through ports. By 1900, the US had tens of thousands of community banks. Mexico had under 50, and two owned most deposits. One side democratized credit, the other mystified it. Without credit, ideas suffocate. Without education, talent vanishes. Protection of order froze entire societies. Even today, echoes remain in underfunded schools, red tape economies, and generations convinced that one person's rise must mean another's fall. And when progress stalls, anger turns outward. It's easier to find villains than to rebuild foundations. Ask why Latin America struggles, and you'll hear explanations that comfort rather than clarify. Some blame culture. Too Catholic, too communal. Yet Spain and Italy share that DNA and prosper. Others whisper race, but the whitest nations, Argentina, Uruguay, aren't the most successful. Maybe geography? Tell that to Singapore, built on a swamp. The convenient scapegoat is foreign exploitation. Empires exploited, yes, but dependency endured because local elites preferred it. It's simpler to profit from foreign capital than to empower competition at home. The harsher truth is internal. Power never learned restraint. Laws bend to fortune. Elections swap masks but protect the same interests. Revolutions start as crusades and end as coronations. Ordinary citizens, watching honesty punished, simply give up trying. The result is stagnation that looks like stability. Yet the soil is shifting. On Mexico's northern frontier, new industry rises beside that desert fence. In Bogotá, coders sell to Europe. In Santiago, entrepreneurs build global startups. And across the internet, a generation raised outside patronage is quietly rewriting what is possible. Small cracks, yes, but history's hardest walls always start breaking that way. For once, the region's wealth lies not underground, but in its hands. Nearshoring pushes factories back from Asia to Mexico's borderlands. Solar power blooms in the deserts of Chile and Peru. Democratic pockets, Uruguay, Costa Rica, prove that law can tame corruption when voters demand more than slogans. Technology ties Latin America to its own diaspora. Millions who built lives abroad now send back more than remittances. They export expectations. They've seen what working systems look like and want them replicated at home. But hope faces predators. New populists rise every decade promising purity, only to recycle the same greed. Corruption mutates faster than reform does. Whether the continent moves forward will depend not on charisma, but on steadiness. Citizens choosing long-term work over short-term anger. History doesn't repeat, people do. The chance to break the pattern is narrow, but it's there. Back in Nogales, that long fence still slices the desert. On one side, highways gleam. On the other, the pavement fades to dust. Yet the soil beneath both is identical. The difference lies in what generations believed they could build and what the law allowed them to keep. For 500 years, privilege and poverty have stared at each other through this steel horizon. One side built faith in rules, the other learned survival without them. but borders can change meaning. That fence might one day mark not separation, but transformation. The line where two experiments finally start to converge. Because prosperity is not a gift of geography, it's the result of trust, accountability, and belief that human potential is worth more than inherited power. When that belief crosses the fence and stays, Nogales will stop being a symbol of division and start being proof that history, no matter how heavy, can still be rewritten.